Charter Review Committee to order for the date April 15, 2014. Maybe our secretary is running a little late, but we'd like to start with pledge allegiance to the flag. We all can stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Well, we can have a roll call. Shadida, would you take the roll call for us? And our secretary.
Do you have an extra one of those
Yes, I
agendas?
do.
Tyrone Drummer,
Here.
Danielle Cataloni,
Do it right. Do it right.
Danielle, Dwayne, Eugene Smith, Stanley, Shalina, I'm here, Donald,
Here.
Daphne is not here, and Elliot.
Here.
If Stephanie arrives, I guess we'll have the minutes read.
Maybe that was.
Oh,
Instead of
sorry,
Eugene.
please forgive me, Mrs.
It's not,
No,
that's
I know,
probably
but
all
I
this
know
Arnetta
it is
Parker.
Parker. Thank you.
For the record.
Mr. Chair, if you could, as a point of order, we didn't do this last time, I meant to remind you that anytime a person isn't present and make a roll, as a matter of courtesy, there should be a motion to excuse with a second, and a vote on motion to excuse those that happen not to be here. They may eventually show, but it's a nice opportunity to extend a sense of cordiality to them.
I got a motion that Dwayne Cochran, Stephanie Douglas, and Stanley Johnson be excused for this meeting.
I'm second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. We're going to ask Mrs. The councilperson, Miesha Starsky-Morgan, to join us at the table, and we'll all introduce ourselves to you once you come to the table.
I
Well,
want
first
you to know, I've never sat in this chair before. I usually go over there where Danielle is. You like my chair, Danielle? So fine, comfortable. I like it. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. I'm Tyrone Drummer, I'm the chair of the Charter Review Committee, and we'll just go right around and introduce ourselves.
Arnetta Parker. Danelle Cadu.
Down with Houston. No, nice to meet you.
Do? Nice to meet you.
Nice
Mr.
to meet you.
Lynch
Pleasure.
and Mr. Tyrone. Met him before.
Thank you.
So we're asking each department head from the city of Richmond Heights, and also we're inviting each council person. And we extended this invitation to yourself. We want to thank you for joining us and sharing, your experience with council, any items that you want to talk about on the charter review. We're basically just open, and we'll have some comments at the end. So take your time, and we just welcome any of your suggestions or comments or any questions, concerns that you have.
Alrighty. My name is Miesha Starkey, not Starsky, Morgan. And when you have to work with that many names, that's a real pain in the neck, believe me. I don't know how much you want to hear about me, but I'll start with the history. So I go back 40 years, so how much time do we have?
Oh, we're here with you.
Gotcha. Okay. I made a few notes here, so if it sounds contrived, some of it is. My husband, John Starkey, and I moved to Richmond Heights in 1958. He ran for Ward 1 council seat to protest the many apartment buildings that were being built in our rural-like area at that time. He served 10 years in office until he passed away in January of 1972 at age 47. I asked the mayor at that time to appoint me to finish John's term. That did not happen. I ran in that year, at the end of that year, in the November election, and the good people of Ward 1 saw fit to elect me Ward 1 council representative, and I was sworn in January of 1973. I've continuously served the city of Richmond Heights on council for over 40 years. I've served as president of council for several months, as clerk of council for 2 years, as chairman of every committee of council during my tenure. I think that about covers my history, so I'm open to any questions or comment or anything of that sort.
If I may,
Yes.
as we've asked every council person, any suggestions you have regarding the existing charter or changes that should be made to it?
Okay, the charter was written in 1959. As I said, Jan and I had been involved in the business of Richmond Heights for many, many, many years, 50 years. And I've seen changes in the charters. Some were good, some were not so good. But I personally really do not feel that there are many things that should be changed in the charter unless, as Mrs. Cadillo, I'm sorry, I'm not pronouncing your name right there. Cadu, excuse me, suggested that you take a look at the majority, how that's written in the charter. I understand that sometimes it's 5-2, sometimes it's a simple majority. So I think that needs straightening out, and I think that's very confusing for a great many people. I can understand some positions it might be, but it really does need looking into. So I think that's rather important. And the terms of office, we could discuss that, and I don't know if you think I'm going to be prejudiced in my answers as to terms of office, as to how long a term should be, how many terms you should serve. So I'm open to questions on that subject. No questions?
No.
You didn't
You didn't answer it.
You didn't answer the question.
Sure do. Well, we're just asking if you can be as honest as you
Oh,
feel.
all right.
We're not directing it to anything. It's an information gathering, and we respect your opinion.
Okay.
We respect your answers.
All right.
Absolutely.
Okay, I know terms of office has been a subject that you guys have discussed, and we've all discussed it. And I am at both ends of the spectrum on this particular subject. First of all, we're a little community. We're only 2.5 miles wide. We don't have too many people who are available to serve on council because of young families here. Everybody's trying to make a buck. These are hard times for everybody. And you go to work all day and you don't want to come up here and sit until 11 o'clock at a meeting. So I can understand that it's hard to find people to run for these offices who are truly dedicated and want to do a good job and have the time to do it. On the other hand, you can't beat experience. Experience is extremely important. You serve on committees. You go through the elections. You meet the people in the neighborhood. I myself have known almost 4 generations of people in my community, which has helped me a great deal. And I hope that I have, over the time, helped them too. So as I said, there's good and there's bad. So I would have to leave that up to you guys to determine what you think of terms of council. can't really recommend one way or the other. Another
Right now.
subject?
Right now, we have 4-year terms, you have 4 years, you're elected to a 4-year term.
Yes.
But it's indefinite.
Yeah,
Pardon me?
But it's indefinite.
Meaning,
They can be reelected over and over again.
Yes.
There's no term
no
limit.
term.
oh, yeah, that's,
Yes.
yeah, you could do, like the president is 2 terms, 2 4-year terms, and then he does not run again, that's the way it's written. But here you can run time after time after time. When I originally ran, back in the old days, there were 2-year terms. And I think Mr. Lentine, stated when he was here that, it seemed like that's all we ever did was run for reelection. Cause every 2 years, you just put the stuff away and you gotta get the signs out again. So, that's pretty cumbersome, 4-year terms are pretty good. Okay.
Are there any other questions on this, from this?
Terms of office?
May I ask you one?
Of course.
You said that there were pros and cons. I heard all your pros for not changing it. What are the, you never elaborated on how you feel about why it should be.
That's true. I have had people remark to me about the age. I've been very fortunate in my life that I have been able to serve Richmond Heights for 40 years. A lot of people can't go that long. So that would be the con on it. But I guess it all depends on your attitude, your health, your capacity. This is not an easy job. You know, some people think that the council, you know, is a piece of cake and we sit up here like a bunch of demagogues and so on. There's a lot of work that goes on this. You spend a lot of hours during the day getting your act together for these meetings, preparing yourself, and it takes a great deal of dedication. And so some people just can't cope with that and don't want to. So they would be on council, maybe not take it as seriously as they should. So that's what you mean by it. I hope I answered your question. Thank you. Shall I go on?
Yes, please.
Okay, in one of the meetings that I read, something about one of the gentlemen, I don't believe he's here tonight, gentleman from Ward 1. You're,
No.
oh, did you ask about communication strategies?
I might have.
Well, I was dying to relate to that, whoever asked the question. When I started running for council, I used to deliver hand flyers that I made myself on a mimeograph machine on my bicycle. And we were talking about, seriously, and we were talking about communications today, that when you leave a council meeting, it's already in the office of the newspapers. They're writing it up. So the importance of getting the right information out, details, is extremely important in these days. It's not like the old days, so I'm not going to belabor that anymore. I'm sure that bores everybody to death. So, unless anybody has any questions, yes.
In reference to that question, what I was really getting at was that when new people move into the community, there's no one to come to greet or welcome them, because I've been where I am for 12 and a half years.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I saw any official from Richmond Heights was the mayor when he was campaigning. So I'm trying to figure out why, you guys don't go out and try to meet the new people, because you're only talking about 1 or 2 residents at a time, and it might be over a period of time. So there should be somebody to welcome them, to tell them about council meeting, tell them about, whatever's happening in the city.
Mhm.
And that was my concern,
There should be meet and greets. I agree with you on that. But I think what we've used recently to try to help in that capacity is a newsletter. Now, when I said I used to deliver flyers by hand on my bicycle, I did. I did that for many, many years, and I started the city edition. And I edited that and put it together for 11 years. And that was my way of trying to communicate with people. But I think, people move up here, and I've heard this from many people, I moved up here, I've lived for many years, and no one has come to see me. Well, we can't get around to see everybody all the time, because we have jobs and we have families, and we're trying to do a job up here. I don't want to make excuses. I think that's the poorest way to communicate with people in the world. But it's tough to get around, and we don't always know who's moving in. We have 4 wards. We have 2 at-large council people. We have the mayor, and unless this information gets out, we don't know who's moving in and who's moving out. So it's something that we could look at. It's something we should look at. But like I said, it's very time-consuming, and most people who run for council have jobs and families, and so they just don't have the time to do it. Unless it's, like you said, at election time, when you have to get out and campaign with the people, that's when you get out, most of the time.
I was just thinking, like I said, with maybe one family moving in the neighborhood 2 or 3 years, that shouldn't create any problem for any council person to find out. And I would imagine also in your ward, if there's a vacancy, and I would hope that you would canvass the area from time to time. That would kind of give anybody an idea that maybe this house is vacant, grass is high. Or
Yeah,
whatever,
we depend on the building department to give us that information. At least I do. I don't know what the other council people do. But,
If I may, Ms. Morgan, you started by saying that over the years you've seen some good changes and bad changes to the charter. Could you please discuss that a little bit more detail?
I don't think I said good changes and bad changes. I said I've seen changes that we had to adjust to.
Can we replay that?
Well, then, excuse me. I didn't,
If I'm wrong, I apologize, but
no,
is
no.
that what I heard?
I may
Some
have,
good,
I'm
not
not
so-
sure.
Some good
some
and not
good and
so,
some not so good.
Well, terminology.
I should have said I've seen many changes and we've been able to live by them, and I misspoke.
No, I think we'd all love to have your input.
Well, I would, yeah, but I didn't mean that. I did not mean bad. I mean changes in the charter. And I just ran off at the mouth and said the bad word, bad. Didn't mean that.
What changes did you like?
I didn't say I didn't like the changes. I said there've been changes over the years that we had to live with.
Yeah, but what ones didn't you like?
I don't dislike or like any of them.
You're being a politician
Okay, well, which one do you have to live with that you would have preferred not to have lived with?
Well, I think there have been some changes, like in the majority rules, for one thing. I think that's been confusing. So I think, I won't say it's good, I won't say it's bad, but it was something that has happened that makes it difficult for us to live with. I think that's something that should be looked at.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Following up on that, you've probably been around the longest, so which one did it used to be that was more consistent? Was it the majority rule, and did it get changed to the
Majority rule.
supermajority?
I believe it was majority rule. Am I right, Todd?
Okay.
Was it originally majority rule in the charter?
We have not changed those vote counts since I've been here, so I've been here almost 20 years.
Wasn't it changed from majority to 5-2 in a couple of cases?
I do not believe so. And I went through the charter recently to point out where the 5-2 majority is, and some of those I think are normal.
From 1959?
I've gone through the charter that we have currently to see what the 5-2 votes are.
Yeah.
I think most of them are something that's common among charters across Ohio, where you need a supermajority to do something that's fairly serious. Most of them are just simple majority, 43, or 4 votes.
Well, I went through it this afternoon, and
And there hasn't been any changes to that effect since I've been here, so I can't speak to when those changes were made or if they were original charters, because I haven't gone back since 1998.
How often is there a time that you don't have 100% voting?
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
When you take a vote in council, I have not seen in council yet where there wasn't 100% voting or something. When was the last time anybody voted against the majority?
Oh, we've had people vote nays on things. Certainly.
How long ago?
Oh, I can't remember. I'm sure it's been recently. We've
3
had
weeks ago.
recent nays.
3 weeks ago.
Pastor Weems.
I wasn't here for that.
It was Pastor Wayne was, being voted, I think, 4-3.
Yes.
Yeah, 4-3.
Yeah, we've had nays.
What is your pet peeve with the entire charter?
You know, when you live with a document so many years,
Don't you brother hate something?
oh yes, I do, but not particularly in the charter. Let's see. What did I don't like? See, it's so difficult to find. Actually, I've been able to live with it pretty well with the changes that we've made. We have to do that. That's the rule of the city. That's a home rule. The people voted for it. Those are the rules. This is the way it has to be run, and that's the way we do it. So whether I like them or not, or have one I particularly do not like, is neither here nor there.
Well, it's important though, if you think something would be better.
Yes, if I had something tonight, and I'm telling you the truth, that I really did not like, I would certainly, because one thing I have never been afraid to do is speak my mind.
So we can't get you fired up on anything tonight, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that. We may have a long way to go here. I'm willing and able. Okay.
Any more questions for Mrs.?
I've enjoyed this. I don't know if you have, but I have. Thank you for inviting me.
One other question.
Yes.
Are you running for any other political office?
Let me see. Mrs. Clinton, has she given you an answer yet?
I talked to her today.
The door is open. Thanks,
So,
folks.
Mrs. Morgan, we want to thank you for taking your time out and sitting with us and sharing your expertise. We really appreciate it. The committee appreciates you coming.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Hope I haven't been too facetious. It's hard to say without a drink of water. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we're gonna move back to the agenda. Secretary's here, so we're gonna have our minutes ready from the previous meeting.
City of Richmond Heights Charter Review Committee minutes, Tuesday, April 8, 2014. All committee members were present. The meeting was opened at 6:01 p.m. with the Pledge of Allegiance. All members were present. The minutes were read, and Arnetta Parker moved that the minutes be approved as read. Elliot Eisenberg seconded. The vote was taken and passed. Chair Durham presented the city's finance director, Jeff Smock, to the committee. Mr. Smock detailed that as the chief fiscal officer, he has the responsibility to collect deposits, safeguard city funds, pay bills for the city, employee payroll, workers' compensation, maintain records, bank reconciliations, reconciliation, monthly financial statements, asset managing, insurance coverages, managing debt, investing, city budget, a 3-year financial plan, capital improvement, and advertising for contract bids over $25,000. He came out of retirement on December 18, 2013, to close out the city's year-end business, and that he had to spend an extensive amount of time on bank reconciliation. He also stated that he has had the conversation with the mayor regarding how long he will be here and that he will stay as long as he can. He has 34 years of government experience and talked about the Chardon form of government, that it was a council-managed government and the finance director was at the pleasure of council. And in his position here in Richmond Heights, feels that he is riding the fence between the mayor and council. Currently, he is working on a list on how the finance department should work, particularly with regards to procedures, council's involvement, processing, and paying bills. He talked about issues that he has seen that have been highlighted in prior state audits and that have been going on for a while, and that he would like very much to see them corrected. He explained that budgetary violations are huge, giving examples such as revenue estimates being off, expenditures exceeding appropriations, transfer of funds from one account, the general fund account, to other accounts. Dina Williams asked the question, who is responsible for approving the transfers if not approved by the mayor, and how have these problems affected our bonds? He responded that although the funds may have been appropriated for a particular line item, requisitions were not always submitted to properly transfer the monies, and that we are on the low rating side with our bonds. His future plans for the finance department include retraining employees, upgrading the accounting system, implementing whatever necessary changes to correct the audit findings, and creating financial planning documents. Mr. Drummer asked whether the plans are ones that the director can implement with or without mayor and or council, and his response was that most things will eventually go before council. He talked about the blanket purchase order and how it is supposed to work, that each department has this procedure, that they have a specific dollar level set for a specific period of time for purchasing small items, and also that this procedure is not always followed. Mr. Drummer asked how many department heads have that blanket purchase order capability, and Mr. Smock stated that they probably all use them. There are certain situations where the blanket purchase order is appropriate. Shadina Williams asked if every department needed blanket purchase orders, and Mr. Smock responded that the blanket purchase order procedure is good for certain situations, that the procedure expedites the buying process for immediate small items needed. Donald Houston asked whether the department heads had to show their prior quarter's blanket purchase order was used before appropriation for the next quarter. The director stated that the monies are appropriated for each quarter, and if one quarter's appropriation is completely used or not used at all, it does not affect the incoming quarter's appropriation. Mr. Procrum asked a question regarding each department head or its subordinates having credit cards and whether monthly business expenses are submitted for the credit card use. Mr. Smock responded by saying that credit cards are available to some, however, he would like to see that process go away and that no, receipts are not always submitted. He also stated that he believes that there are currently 12 credit cards issued to departments that include fire, police, service department, and the recreation department. He stated that one thing he would like to see changed or amended in the charter is Article 4, Section 9, Paragraph F, that as it stands, the procedure overall is restricted, that smaller contracts can be handled by the administrative office. Todd Hunt interjected and concurred with the finance director, stating that the director's recommendation was the same as his recommendation given during his presentation. Stanley Jocelyn asked if that was his only charter issue of concern, and the director stated that it is the only one he sees that needs to be changed since his time here. Elliot Eisenberg asked, how can your position be streamlined? Answer, an adequate staff would of course take over some of the responsibilities, particularly those things that are administrative in nature that currently come across his desk. Question, do we need a purchasing department? Answer, we are not that big. With adequate staffing, people just need to do what is required. Question, were purchases continued even when funds were not available? Answer, I am not in a position to answer that. Question, is staff available to cover the department during the time you will be away? Answer, the current staff will continue to do what they currently do. Question, is the current staff new? Answer, they have been here 4 to 5 years. That is relatively short-time employees. Chair Drummer, thank you, Mr. Smart, for taking the time to meet with us. The next meeting is April 15, 2014, and Councilwoman Morgan is scheduled to present. Councilpersons Henry and Alexander have been invited, however, they have not responded. Also at the April 15th meeting, Danielle Perdue will discuss her assigned section, Article 6, Section 6 through 9. There were no public comments. Stanley Johnson moved that the meeting be adjourned. Shadina Williams second. The motion passed and the meeting was adjourned at 6:59 p.m. Respectfully submitted, Stephanie Douglas, in a room, recording session.
Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes as read? Are there a motion that the minutes be approved as read? There's been a motion moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mr. Chairman, thank you for your
Thank
understanding.
you.
Hey, take care, Elliot.
Are there anyone in the public that would have anything they want to address to the committee? Any questions or concerns? Oh,
Mr. Chairman, just as a point of order, there's not a legal requirement that attendees that are in the gallery be identified, but it's at the chairman's discretion. If he so chooses, he can do that.
So no one from the public would have any comments or concerns. Our next meeting will be held on April the 22nd at 6 o'clock, right here in the caucus room. Councilperson Eloise Henry will be attending. What we're going to try to do is at least wrap up these interviews by the first week of May. So there's 3 more invitees after Mrs. Henry, which would be Councilperson Alexander, ex-mayor Urson, and ex-mayor Boyd. And I think our final person that we'll sit down with to interview will extend invitation to Mayor Headen. Are there any questions? We have a motion that the meeting be adjourned. The first, it be adjourned. Need a second?
Oh, so I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting been adjourned, motion carried.
Running early.